knew what you were getting yourself into when you decided to come on the road.
Get out my goddamn clothes.
I'm gonna take everything except your bra and your pants.
I was trying to figure this out, but I was having a hard time. Were your characters, were Roslyn and Miss Freddie based on real people in Billy's life? Or were they sort of like amalgamations?
No, they were based on real people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Miss Lawrence, what can you tell you about Miss Freddie then?
I can tell you that Miss Freddie was she like Roslyn and Billy was a revolutionist, was a loyalist to all things right. Freddie was Billie Holiday's dresser, her personal dresser. She was a very, very, very close friend. We moved together, you know what I mean?
Who was Roslyn to Billy?
Roslyn was actually Billy's childhood friend. And they grew up together. And so this is, and you find this kind of common with like artists, especially musicians, that like, you know, like basically it was the two of us were her entourage, basically. That was the people who you trust. Your glam squad, usually those are the people who are with you day in and day out. And so you naturally build a very close bond and a family. And so she was the childhood best friend. And then ended up doing the hair and makeup for Billy, as well as like, you know, we were both basically her caretakers. Roslyn in particular wasn't into the fast lane, if you will. So in many situations, she was her caretaker and making sure she was okay and alive and trying to advise her to make good decisions, but not, you know, push too much because she knew that would be retroactive. And she just leaned into it more. So yeah, we were like the family, the little family in the midst of all the chaos.
Yeah.
Something I was reading was with the screenwriter for the movie, Susan Laurie Parks, and she was sort of saying like friends like would keep her sort of protected. But then at some point, as we see in the movie, her friends sort of walked away and Billy sort of drove them away a little bit. And I was wondering sort of what you guys think that did to her and vice versa. Like why did they have to walk away?
Well, with Roslyn, she never left.
Yeah.
So that's why the scene where she's doing like probably her last recording in the recording studio. That's why it's so devastating for Roslyn, because Roslyn is the one person who believes in her till the very end and almost naively is hopeful that she'll come back. And so the same thing with the hospital scene. That's why at the end it's so devastating for her. Because she's been by her side when everyone left, and they still want to let her in the hospital to see her and to be there with her.
Yeah. Same with my character, Miss Freddie. Miss Freddie would never leave Roslyn or Billy. Miss Freddie would never leave. We are literally a family. And so while we did see, you know, the men go in and out of her life, you know, Tallulah left and things like that. We are a real pack. So, you know, you don't get one without the other, period.
She's made something of herself and you can't take it because she's strong, beautiful, and black.